right, and we are live. Hey everyone, my name is Sumesh, and I am your host for this session of TestMu. It's the third and the final day of TestMu. However, it's incredible to see the enthusiasm and energy still going on strong. All thanks to you guys, of course. And today we're diving into a topic that's close to the heart of anyone invested in delivering quality software, transforming raw data into actionable insights. Our next session is all about how we can leverage test data not just to monitor progress, but to drive key decisions that ensure high quality across the software development lifecycle. We are thrilled to have Hrishi Potdar, a seasoned quality engineer architect at Boomi, shares his wisdom with us. Hrishi's extensive experience in quality assurance and his innovative approaches to optimizing QA strategies have made him a respected leader in our field. Get ready to explore how effective test reporting can turn everyday data into powerful knowledge that shapes the future of projects. Please welcome Hrishi Potdar on stage. Hrishi, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the wonderful introduction here. Let me start sharing my screen. Okay, let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, you can see your screen.
All right. Happy Friday, everyone. Wow, such a wonderful week, right? 3 days of sessions full of knowledge, tools, and AI. Oh my God. I mean, that was so much of AI in the testing. I would have never imagined this. Maybe last year, this wasn't even a buzzword. But this year it has picked up so much. I'm thrilled actually and excited at the same time because I can see a lot of good work coming our way. And the amount, like the kind of sessions I have joined so far, I know it's gonna take actually the product and services that I'm offering not only to my team but our customers as well to next level. So really excited about that conference. So thank you so much, Lambda and TestMu, for hosting this, and thanks for having me on this conference as well. And thank you all the joiners here. Um, I'll try to make sure that this session in the mix of all these great sessions still stays relevant to the topic, right? Because this topic is still close to the heart of a lot of quality engineers and a lot of data that we work with when it comes to all these testing tools and framework. We already heard a little bit of introduction about myself. I just want to add that as a part of quality engineering architect, although I am with Boomi for past 10 years, I work about 7+ years with Boomi, initially working on the functional and non-functional aspect of the testing. And then we start to seeing so much growth in our engineering department. That's where I took on the role of quality engineering architect to scale our infrastructure, framework, and tooling to support the needs of the organization 24/7. Before that, I worked 6.5 years with a non-for-profit organization, again in the same area of business. And before that, I spent 6 quality years working in banking and credit card industry as well, since I completed my master's back here in St. Joe's, Philadelphia. My contact details are shared here as well if you want to stay in touch after the conference. Now, quickly, I just want to go over what is Boomi. Trust me, this is not a marketing pitch here, but I just want to set the context where I'm coming from when it comes to Boomi. We are world's #1 cloud native and intelligent integration platform, which helps enable and transform businesses processes with a low code to no code solutions. Complex software, we deal with complex softwares. We have 20,000 plus customers all over the world, and we are a team of around 2200 plus employees, again all over the world. In last couple of years we have shifted our model, so we have almost same size team working back in Indian subcontinent now as we have here in our Conshohocken headquarters in Pennsylvania. um, we deal with millions of deployed integrations, processes, and executions every single day on our clouds, which are public clouds, and also we have private clouds and solutions as well. So you can imagine the kind of complexity that we deal with. Our SLAs on the cloud is 99.99%, so our clouds never sleep, and so does our commitment to our customers. We are always there, we are always active for them, because if you look at these 20,000 customers, it is not just them that we are looking and serving here, right? We those 20,000 customers have their customers. And for example, a bank, for example, is a customer of our customers. They are using our software behind the scene. And if you are the end user, you happen to ask your Siri, hey, what is my bank balance today? There is a chance that there is a Boomi working behind the scene today, giving you quick response on telling you what is your bank balance, right? So imagine the complexity of the work and processes that we deal with when it comes to testing these solutions. Takeaways from the talk today. You must have seen the movie Office Space. Do you remember the scene from the movie Office Space? If you are in IT industry and working in any kind of IT related organization, that was one of the favorite and iconic movie when it comes to some of the scenes that got so famous there, right? TPS report is one thing that I remember, uh, where a manager is standing in front of engineer's desk asking him for, hey, did you get my TPS report? When will they be ready? You know, I know long gone are the days of those reports when we used to physically have to print out the data and all that. And pretty much emails and stuff are also getting obsolete now, right? Today is the days of AI, right? I mean, everybody needs everything at his fingertips today. However, although the reports and emails are all obsolete, the report aspect of our, business, it still stays relevant. Um, we have lots and lots of automation, regression, executions that's happening every single day, every single minute, producing data, producing reports. That needs to get to the right stakeholder at the right time. And that still stays relevant, because without that, you are probably not in a, you're not going to able to capture the state of your automation regression frameworks, right? When it comes to any given day of time. So that's where some of the important takeaways. I hopefully you'll be able to find relevant information as we proceed further with this presentation. Let's little bit talk about QA operations. As I mentioned, 3 years back, we formed this organization under my own Boomi organization about QA operations. So recently there you must have heard the buzzwords like BizOps, which is business operations, DevOps, which is development operations, SecOps, security operations, IT operations, right? So similarly, there is in the mid to large size organizations, there is a need for quality operations, which provides a centralized set of testing frameworks, tooling, and infrastructure, along with the governance and reporting, which is scalable, sustainable, and available for your end users to use 24/7. For a global organization, it is an absolute must-have. I remember somebody asked me casually the other day, "Hey, what are your working hours?" And I literally told him 24/7, right? I mean, although physically I may be in front of my computer or physically in office from 9 to 5, my responsibility doesn't stop there. My responsibility is for entire organization to make sure that I provide the end-to-end, solutions, integrations, and executions, reporting, and everything to my end user, which is inside the organization, to allow them to do their job best. And no matter which time zone they are in, and I definitely don't want to get called at 3 a.m. in the morning for somebody asking me for where their TPS reports are. So of course, automation is a big aspect to that one. So as I
Hey,
mentioned,
Hrishi.
yes, Sumesh.
Yeah, Hrishi, this is Sumesh. I think the team is complaining about the voice actually. So do you see an option there at the left bottom? There is an HD sign.
Yes,
You can change it to low definition.
low definition. Okay,
Lovely.
done. How about now? Is it better?
Oh, much better. Thank you.
All right. Do we need to leave the camera on? I mean, it's up to you. Um,
Yeah,
if
you can
that
turn
makes
it
any
off too. No
difference.
problem. Yeah, you
All
can
right.
turn off the camera.
Let's try that
Yeah,
out. All right. Let's try that out.
even
All
better.
right. So let's continue. Yeah, let's continue where we left off. Um, So as a part of working as a QA operations, I get these questions all the time. What is the state of my regressions? Am I green or red for this release? Can I meet my commitment to customers? How is the performance of my test? What is the state of my infrastructure? When it comes to supporting the needs of the organization, do we have enough licensing to help, you know, meet the new batch of the engineers joining our organization in next month? What type of code coverage that my organization or my element has today? How do I improve it? Where do I stand today? What is my DRE? And many such questions, right? On every single day, we get asked with many such questions, and rightfully so. They're asking these questions to me because we are responsible for providing answers to these questions. Give me 1 second. All right. So when it comes to answering such questions, where do I go to get all the answers? How many managers do I need to call, and contact for this information? How many different places I need to collect this information from? Imagine the organization as big as Boomi, as I just explained. We have various different frameworks where we test UI, API, runtime. There are microservices, pipelines running over, through CI/CD infrastructure as well. So there is a data flowing all over the place. How much time do I have to spend getting all these answers? And how do I know or predict the state of my delivery pipeline? Because all these answers are crucial to predict that pipeline for the stakeholders of the organization. There are always questions from your engineering ops department about preparing for future. Am I good today? Will I be able to sustain tomorrow? What do I need to do or change to sustain tomorrow? How much of new infrastructure we need to build up, how much of new licensing that we need to acquire, and things and so. And how do we support all these execution pipelines when it comes to everybody trying to shift left, trying to run their executions on their own, on their sandboxes and different environments? We still need to be able to provide a sustainable, scalable deployment pipeline for all these solutions as well. And how do I do all these things without disturbing the focus of the organization? That is really important, right? Because I don't want to bother 100 people when these questions come to us. A good organized reporting framework can make all these things possible. Um, it adds transparency to your business, it adds efficiency to the business, and adds that peace of mind so that I don't need to get bothered with all these questions. Ideally, imagine having a one-stop shop for all these things in the reporting, right? You just have to go to one place to get all the answers. Instead of you going for information, the information is coming to you, and not only to you, you make this available to all the stakeholders within your business to make it transparently available to them at any given point of time. And that's where it's very important for your testing frameworks to be enabled with such a organized reporting structure behind the scene, which is continuously reading, reporting just in time reports to the right stakeholders within the organization. Now, what are the stakeholders that we're talking about? Within a given IT organization, there is executive leadership and release managers is one stream. There are always element managers who care a lot about, the test coverage and the functionalities they are trying to deliver. And then there are engineers or SDET, devs, you can call them, who is actually writing the test, running the test, and trying to debug the test, trying to identify the issues on real time as we speak. And then there are operations as we speak, who is trying to identify the current and the future needs of the organization. Executive leadership will always care about, they need high level information they're looking for, right? Am I ready? Am I red or green? What is my burn down? What is my, charts? How am I looking in terms of my delivery pipeline? Am I on the right track? I have a release coming up tomorrow. What is the state of my regression? Are those green? Am I signed off? Right? They don't need to get too much detail into where I am. They're looking for a really high level information. Are we good to go? Is the answer they're looking for. When it comes to the element managers, they're a little more curious into trying to identify what is the coverage for their element. Imagine you are trying to develop a new functionality. You're always running your grooming and pre-grooming session, design sessions. You are trying to understand, okay, how do I plan better? The best way to do your grooming and planning session is to understand, okay, what is my current coverage today? What is my risk areas into the business if I take on this project? How much coverage do I have? Where does it sit? What kind of regression covers it? And things like that. So if I'm the manager, I'm trying to identify that piece of information. Um, if you are engineer, you are more curious about day-to-day life. Why is my test case failing? It worked locally. Hey, I did everything right. It still fails. Flakiness is a word you must have heard in a lot of the previous sessions. It's a problem. It's a common problem unless you do the right thing or you write the test the right way. Um, all these questions are obvious questions coming from the end users. How soon I can debug my test? How soon I can identify the problem or a defect? How soon I can identify it's a test issue or a defect issue or a framework issue or orchestration issue and things like that. So as you go lower down the order, you will find the problem still exists, but at a different level, and there are stakeholders trying to acquire that information in the minimum amount of time so that they can improve the efficiency of their work and day-to-day life. Same thing with operations we discuss. Am I able to provide everything my org needs today? And am I prepared for future? Because we are acquiring these many tools, we are planning to run these tools on this orchestration, how many licenses I need, what coverage, what licensing usage I have today, and all sorts of questions you need to be prepared to answer in order to plan for your future. For everything, reporting is the key. Um, I got some quotes for you here. Basically, in God we trust, all others must bring data to support. If somebody is asking for something, ask them for a data, right? The goal is to turn this data into information and information into insight. As I said, we are producing lots and lots of data as part of all our executions. That's just the information. Our first job is to get that information to the right stakeholders and convert that information into insights so that they can make informative decisions based on that information that they are seeing there, because data can certainly tell the story. Good decisions also come from good data, as you heard, right? If within your organization you are seeing fluctuating data coming all the time, you may not be in a position to make the good decisions, and that's where actually the responsibility of frameworks to make sure that you are consistently running your executions and the tests in a similar fashion, and they're producing the consistent results so that you you can rely on that data to make informative decisions that are ahead of you. I hope you're following me so far. Now, this is an interesting question. How much reporting is good? And I title this as no reporting. Is no reporting a good reporting? It's a tricky question. Imagine a scenario here, right? That we have kids going to school today, right? And we trust the organization, the schooling organization, and we trust our kid. We know we have did the right thing to get our kid into the school. But imagine every day we start hearing from school every single minute. Hey, your son is 10 minutes late to school today. Hey, your son is joining the maths class in 10 minutes. Hey, your son has English class coming up in an hour. Hey, there is a lunch break coming up for your son. If this kind of reporting we kind of keep feeding it to parents, naturally it's going to disturb you your day-to-day activities, because that is too much reporting at any given point of time. You trust your organization, right? You trust in schooling, you know you got them in the right organization, but you definitely don't expect them to inform you about each and every single move of your kid when it comes to reporting. So definitely reporting can be annoying in certain times, pieces of time. However, if you have very well engineered machine, like example here, self-driving car, for example, in place, right? You can probably enjoy the ride from the back seat. At that point, you trust your machine, you trust the software you build, you trust the deployment and delivery pipeline and the process. And within the organization, your process practices and pipelines are matured enough over the years to tackle all these small issues that they are now self-governing, self-running pipelines. In that case, you can say, hey, I don't want to hear as much of reporting unless there is a problem. Imagine you have a deployment pipeline for your microservices, very well reverse pipeline. It knows how to execute the test. It knows, report a problem and failed on a problem and problem only, and then only you will want to hear if something fails. If everything is good, running smoothly, and you are enjoying from the back seat, you assume things are good because at that point you trust your system to do the job. You don't need to get that frequent reporting. But the reality of life today is that how many of these self-driving cars are out on the road today, right? Probably a percent, maybe less, if you look at it that way. So everybody else is still behind the driving wheels trying to, acquire this information during runtime. And for them, this reporting matters. Is there somebody in your blind spot? Am I getting check engine light on? Do I need to get the fuel? Are those IC conditions coming up today? Is there going to rain? And if it's raining, is my roof turned off? All sort of things you're still trying to handle manually. And hey, you do want to hear some of these indications ahead of time so that you can better prepare the delivery of the software that you're trying to do. So yes, no reporting can be good as long as you have experience and well-versed pipelines, delivery pipelines into place. However, everyone else still needs to rely on efficient and reliable reporting in place. Let's look at some of the tools and techniques that are available for you today, right? I mean, I just mentioned some here. I'm pretty sure there are hundreds and thousands of tools when it comes to getting the right reporting. And I mentioned Boomi here because Boomi sits at the heart of the information, heart of the data. And I'm fortunate enough to have Boomi at my fingertips where I can make use of Boomi's services to gather the kind of information I need to convert, transform that information in a shape, format, profiles I need that information to be, and take it out to the right stakeholders through APIs and such like that. So Boomi is, of course, being an in-house tool, we can make good use of the tool itself as well. I know there are tools like SonarQube, which helps track, perform static code analysis, track your unit test coverage, um, perform the security scans and such. There are open source tools like Report Portal, a wonderful tool, right? If you organize it well, integrate that with your regression frameworks, you can have the reports going out to the report portal, and from there you can extract it through APIs. There are, of course, tools like Jira as well, which helps organize your projects uh, in such a way that, they are properly organized under the umbrella of your organization structure, based on the departments and things like that. So it itself is a wonderful tool. It's also equipped with a lot of APIs that it comes with. There are a lot of tools like for cloud-based orchestration tools, like in this case, suppose we know Lambda test is one of them. It comes with APIs that you can interact with, extract the results as and when required. There are things Slack has been also revolutionary when it comes to sharing the information and adding transparency. You can get information as soon as your pipeline or executions ends, throwing out to the Slack so that everybody get transparent access to your reports as and when they need it. There are also tools like New Relic and Splunk as well, which is also tracking a lot of information without you even knowing it, right? I mean, amazing information. Like, look at all the transaction times and things you can track there. You can always run your regression and track all the transaction times. You can dashboard them. You can shape and form them in any form that you like to see the information based on those transactions, which helps you drive some knowledgeable insights from that dashboarding and information as well. So yes, lots of tools out in the market. Of course, whichever your organization is working with, you can work best with those and make best of those tools when it comes to working with these. Metrics and KPIs, they matter to your organization, right? Defect trends, how effective your automation is, your DRE and density, defect removal efficiency, how many issues I am catching early in my testing phase, and how many issues are occurring when the software is released to my customer, and how do I obtain that DRE, and how do I keep in control the DRE. Those numbers matters when you track them properly over the period of time to understand the actual quality of your delivery pipeline. Same thing with the density. How which area of your code that you need to focus more when it comes to issues and defects and stuff like that. So there are a lot of numbers and information that you can track, which can help you pinpoint some of those areas within your business to identify those um, bugs and the coverages. Like, okay, where are my issues coming from? How many of those issues coming from? Is there a pattern I can draw of those issues? Coverages is the same thing. How is my unit test case coverage looking today, right? What areas of business are lagging? How are we doing in terms of new code versus existing code and things like that? There are always MTTD, MTTR when it comes to the customer cases and things like that. You have to track how soon you can address the problem. Uh, Customer satisfaction always is a goal in mind when it comes to quality of your software. Code review effectiveness also determines the how soon, how effectively you are performing those to keep the quality of your code, which is sustainable and scalable over the period of time. And again, um, code maintainability, as I said. And when I say code, there are two types now, right? It's not just your application, but your regression frameworks also producing thousands and thousands lines of code today that needs to be sustainable, manageable, and scalable over the period of time. Let's look at some of the case studies. I can take an example of code coverage here. As I mentioned, imagine somebody, if you have in organization, you have unorganized projects, which is producing the unreliable reports today, right? What you can do to tackle those? There are ways to actually organize them by your business portfolios. You can always identify in such tool, okay, what are different projects, classify them at the high level, tag it to the business portfolios that matters to your organization, apply the rules and quality gates and security gates identical to each other on those projects, and extract the report at regular interval. A lot of these tools provide abilities to have APIs which can help you extract that information and track it over the period of time. You will learn ton of things from that information by extracting that kind of information, right? Because the information is always there, the data is flowing as a result of your delivery pipelines. You have to make a good job of organizing them, tracking them, and then most important thing, you have to share that with the right stakeholders. Without having this data in hand, information in hand, if you go to stakeholders, it's very hard to convince somebody that there is a problem. However, when you have this information in hand, you have a data to grow. As we said, hey, in data we trust. There is a data, this is your project, and this is how it has been doing over the period of time. What can you do, or what can your organization do to improve these, right? So that helps to improve the overall quality of the software. Definitely, it's our job to follow up on the lapses when it happens. So you definitely need to have some kind of governance in place when it comes to continuously following up with these numbers. And when they fall under certain level of expectations, you need to have a follow-up loop going on to make sure we get them in track. Flaky test is another example we have seen, works on my machine, fails in regression. There are various reasons for flaky test. As we have heard a lot of speakers earlier speaking about the flakiness of the test, there could be a lot of reasons why your test is flaky. When you tried and tested your test, it was on your local machine. However, when actually the test is running as a part of orchestration on third party software in multi-threaded environment, there is a chances that you are not either handling your data, your credential management is not being done right, or there may be some kind of lag or slowness, that performance issues that you are hitting as a part of the test. There could be many reasons for flakiness. We just heard, yeah, the slowness itself, right? Sometimes it takes 8 to 10 seconds when we are running on some third party software to execute this test. You need to consider all things in mind when actually building the test to take the flakiness out of it. However, it's always good to know what is the percentage of flakiness that exists in my software. And as I have some examples here, right, the orchestration software can provide this information to me. It it does an amazing job on explaining where does the flakiness exist. It can help to pinpoint the flaky test so that I can prioritize them based on the severity of the issues. As you can see here, you can now you can now categorize your flakiness of tests between high, medium, and low based on the percentage they have been flaky over the past few runs. This information helps is really helpful in guiding a quality engineer or a developer to pinpoint the issues and get it addressed. As I said, I work on the side of the operations. It's always a question for me: am I prepared well for my organization? Am I making best use of the money I'm spending on the licensing and the infrastructure and things like that? It's always a question, right? So, how do I prepare myself and my organization to help answer these questions better, right? Can I produce some kind of reports? Uh, what we have today, who is using it, how often in a day we are using it, and are we really making good use of this concurrency and concurrent users so that I can justify the cost I'm spending on the licensing and the software I'm paying for. Of course, as a part of operations, you will always try to optimize the cost, optimize the usage, and accordingly budget for the growth. If you don't have a need, you shouldn't have to budget for that amount for upcoming months. At the end of the day, you are always trying to do best what is best for your organization, and that's where this data is the key. Same thing with the infrastructure resources, right? You may have a lot of infra regressions running on your local infrastructure. How are you managing them? How are they paying out over the period of time? What is the maintenance cost on it? How much data storage that you need to store, you need to set up for this kind of infrastructure? How often you need to clean up that data storage? All those are important factors when it comes to managing in-house infrastructures. Execution pipelines, if you are doing shift left, as I mentioned, are our execution pipelines equipped enough? Is our CI/CD automation equipped enough to support multiple execution pipelines in parallel for various units within your business? What is the memory consumption on some of the infrastructure I'm using today for in-house containers, clouds, and things like that? What is the disk utilization and how efficiently they are able to support the needs of your regression? All these questions can come if you have reporting like this available to you. I'm currently working with tools, and of course, Lambda Test is one of them there, that provides you ability to get these kinds of reports created for your organization, which adds a lot of insights, like how is this being used by the end user, and how often it's being used, and am I prepared for the future, or what do I need to do to prepare for the future? And it's not always about buying extra licenses, buying extra software. You can always look to optimize your tests, your frameworks, to make them run more efficiently, right? There is always room at the top, as we say, there's always room to make your test more efficient so that you don't consume these many threads going forward. So this kind of data, if you can track and share with the right stakeholders, you are now in a position to make these decisions when it's time to do so. We just talked about regressions, right? In addition to outside hosted orchestration, I'm pretty sure you have the in-house infrastructure supporting your regressions and testing pipelines as well. You have to look into add monitoring in those, right? Like we mentioned about New Relic, there are ways to add New Relic monitoring. If you are on AWS, there are ways to add monitoring to your AWS resources. Are they running? How often they are running? Are they are we making best use of those resources? How is the memory consumption? This uses all those statistics you can produce today and share with the right stakeholders to make sure that you are optimizing the cost of your business. You can always create CS. Within these tools, they offer you ability to create different dashboards that can be shared with the different stakeholders within your organization as well. Some of these sample dashboards I'm sharing here, this as an operations engineer, yes, this definitely adds a lot of value. Or even I'm an end user here in this case, adds a lot of value. And how it is categorizing my executions here, how my test pass, how many fail, what percent of the test cases are flaky, how many are timing out for that matter, so that I can look into the infrastructure behind the scene. And this gives me and pinpoint the areas where I need to focus immediately without bothering, because I trust my test, I trust the reporting, I trust the execution orchestration behind the scene. And now I must trust this data because it is telling me a story. This test is not performing well for this period of time, and somebody has to do something with this. It could be easily be a defect, right? So that's of course the first thing that comes to mind. However, it's not always the case, as we have seen. So definitely somebody has to go and investigate. Any kind of tools that helps you investigate these executions, and save you some time in doing so by pinpointing the issues, it's always an add-on for engineer like us who always have to debug deep into this kind of issues. When it comes to no reporting, as I said, I'm probably a big fan of no reporting still, because I trust my system, I trust my pipeline in such cases. However, you could be that kind of user. Hey, even though I trust my system, I trust the schooling system, I still want to see, maybe just for the sake of my own things, that I want to see a report once in a while. Hey, everything is green. Hey, I'm happy. You can produce actually today, like using the tools like Slack and all we discuss, you can produce this kind of reports today back to the end user, which not only adds transparency but saves tons and tons of time, because now if I see my execution is green, I don't have to click this link. However, it just give me that sense of security here, that hey, this thing is running well and it's green, I don't have to worry about it, right? Or if it is red, can it take me to the right test, that exact pinpoint the test or areas of the test that it can take me today, so that I can address the problem as soon as possible. I don't have to dig in the thousands and thousands and oceans of the tests that I have there. This kind of reporting is definitely adds a key to your organization, when you can actually pinpoint and take you to the right areas as soon as possible to get them addressed. Even the things like adding the rate, overall rate, is not a bad idea, right? You would just want to see, as I said, as you go higher up in organization, you don't really care about the rules. You just worried about, am I ready to go? And these kind of numbers, when you hit 98 100%, those are the things you're looking for. You can trend these numbers on how you're faring across over the period of days, to see that your quality of your organization is sustaining over the period of time. So definitely it's great idea to add and trend these numbers as well, to track the quality of your overall organization pipeline. I know we are pretty much coming at the end of the time here. Quickly, actions and outcomes, as just discussed, identify such trends, when it comes to the, based on the data that we have just discussed, isolate those issues, tackle the issues at the root of the problem. The sooner you can get to the root of the problem, the better it is, for the, to save your time. Make informed decisions based on the information that you have seen, when it comes to planning for the infrastructure or tooling or licensing to support the growing needs of your organization. It, as I said, it also adds a lot of accountability because there is always the money behind these things. So there's a lot of accountability on your head when you start making good use of these resources as they come to you. And then transparency, as we discuss, again, an important aspect. I don't want somebody to be calling me at 3 o'clock in the morning to ask me about the TPS reports. In, Instead, I have these reports continuously going to them in an automated fashion so that I don't have to get up early in the morning for that. So transparency, of course, adds a lot of value when it comes to reports. Just to conclude the topic here, of course, as we said, organized reports add intelligence to help with decision making, drive your organization KPIs. It adds visibility into delivery pipeline. It adds efficiency and transparency and helps you optimize your delivery pipeline processes, infrastructure, tooling, and the frameworks, which matters when it comes to saving money for your organization. And at the end of the day, of course, it adds everything. This adds value and quality control to your process and practices because this gives you a driving tools to govern those quality control and practices that you have in place. Unless you are you like to continue doing this, what you see in this GIF, which is test every single chocolate to test the quality of it. I think this is my presentation today, Sumesh. We're pretty much up to the time, and if there are any questions, anything, I'm happy to take those.
Oh yeah, thank you, Rishi, for this insight. We definitely have good questions, right? I'll if you can stop sharing the screen. I'll bring these questions on the stage for you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, here goes the first one. This is from Mahesh. How can we differentiate between valuable knowledge and mere information in the context of software development?
Great question. So, as we know, and as I learned from my dad, who comes from library science, every information is not knowledge. If you go on the internet, you will find a lot of information out there. However, every information is not knowledge. It becomes a knowledge when somebody actually absorb the information, test it out, and make meaningful insights out of that information. Right? Then it becomes a knowledge. And going back to your question, I hope I have explained it pretty well here that based on the presentation that we have seen so far, right? You have these regressions, automations producing lots and lots of information. Unless you capture that information, unless you organize that information, and after organization, unless you add transparency to the information and get the information to the right stakeholders, all this process is adding knowledge aspect to it. When it gets to the right stakeholder, they know what action they need to take, right, based on this information, and you have a data to prove that this is actionable for them. That's what adds value to your organization.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, thank you, and I think Mahesh, your question is answered, I guess. Uh, the next question that we have is from Mukesh. How can QA teams move beyond just generating reports to deriving actionable insights from testing data?
Okay, so as we have seen in some of the case studies I have shared earlier, right, I think I talked about unit test coverage, I talked about regression coverage, I also talked about the operational aspect of the testing, right? These reports, you have to have ways to generalize this report, organize this report, and maybe ideally solution would be to get this all in one place, right? So once you start doing that, tracking this over the period of time, you will start learning the trends, right? It will start setting up a trends for you. From there you can draw the insights into what actions you need to perform based on those reports. So there is always a test data, but are you doing the good thing and right things to organize that test data? I mean, the answer goes along the similar lines. Every organization, everything is different, and data is telling the story. And first of all, you need to trust your data. Is that reliable? And as we said, when it comes to like flakiness of test and all that, right? Flaky test is not actually reliable information. So first thing you have to address is address your flaky test, right? Get your percentage down on flaky tests. That's going to give you more information to work with and more accurate information to work with when it comes to identifying actual regression outcomes for your projects as well. So once you start getting, and where does that flaky test information come from? Your data itself, right? So now you have reports, now you have ability to track it. Now you know what you need to do to get that into the right place. So that's how it's all tied together to help you, get that insight within that data.
Right. Well, there's the last one from Arbor. I'll just join on the stage. What would be the best tools for us to get the insights to make better decisions as QA?
This is a tricky one. So as I said, I
Yeah,
listed few tools out there, right? So I know the
yeah,
universe is huge, and there are definitely a suits of tools available from every single vendor that probably your organization is using. You need to pick and choose what is best available currently, right, within your organization, and try to understand. In today's era, I'm pretty sure every single tool comes with the APIs, right? So try to extract that information from
yeah,
those APIs, try to track it down. And as we said, once you start gathering these kind of insights, get it to the right stakeholders, you'll automatically drive you to, uh, basically it will build you a database of, driving you towards the right decision for the organization when it comes to that matter.
right. I
So
think
you can use,
the
yes,
question is
within
answered,
your
Arbor.
organization, identify. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are tools, as I said, New Relic, as I said, one example collects lots and lots of data right behind the scene. You can track transaction times. You can use your unit testing code tools, which tracks the coverage for your code as well. So depends on which, I'm not sure which department you belong to, whether you're on operation side or you are on development side, your interest could be different. But try to make best use of these tools first to get organized, your information in the right place, and then start producing these insights to help make key decisions.
Yeah. Well, I think that's marks towards the end of our session. As I conclude the session, I really like to thank you, Hrishi, for being a part of the event and sharing insights and helping us understand, how we can make best use of the reports that we, present. But to our audience, thank you so much for being a part of TestMu. All the sessions are recorded, and it will be available on Lambda Test YouTube channel, right? Providing you an opportunity for further learning and sharing. So please go there, watch this video, comment, like it, share with your peers, spread the knowledge. And till then, happy testing and good day to all of you.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Hrishi.
Thanks for joining.